Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 25 of the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast. We have absolutely so freaking much to talk about. So, since we haven't done a pod since Sunday, we've got 3 Game 7s, 2 Game 1s, and award details to talk about. If I'm missing anything, like Ryan, jump in. I think that's everything, which is a lot. Like, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of things in the span of 3 days.
Yeah, I don't think there's two. Oh, well, now that I'm just scrolling through Twitter and kind of looking at our past messages back and forth, Snoop Dogg news happened. Well,
Oh, yeah.
we were off too, so we could mention that. Snoop Dogg is now in on the Ottawa Senators, so that's fun. I don't know. Where do you want to start? Maybe we'll start off rounding up. Well, first of all, I'm getting ahead of myself. How are you, Mitchell?
I'm good. Finished school on Monday. Pretty exciting stuff. Ready to hunker down and talk some hockey though. Um,
Attaboy.
but yeah, I mean, so where do you want to start? Some bombshell thing. Well, I mean, do you want to say how you are? Do you have anything crazy fun going on this week on this beautiful Wednesday?
Unfortunately, I do not have anything
All right.
crazy fun going on this Wednesday. So
All right.
let's wrap up the
Let's
first
talk about
round.
this crazy fun league that's been in playoff time for the last few weeks. So, first round wrapping up on Monday night. We had 2 Game 7s on Sunday and one on Monday. The Florida Panthers pulling off the impossible, taking down the big bad Bruins. Seattle knocking off the defending champion Colorado Avalanche, and then on Monday night the New Jersey Devils in one of the weirder series, like a really weird Game 7. We'll get to the Rangers in a bit. The Devils taking down the big brother New York Rangers, as the Devils will now be facing the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round, which kicks off tonight. I mean, I feel like the natural place to start is Florida Boston. It was the first of the 3 Game 7s, and it was the most notable result. I know you picked Florida in your bracket because you're a rascal.
No, I was saying I really, really wanted to, but I
Oh,
didn't.
I thought you did. Did any? I guess
No,
nobody did then. Okay.
no, I was thinking it was like, I don't know. I wanted to do well this year, and I thought it was just too edgy of a pick, although I
Yeah.
thought they could do it. Like, I really, really was pondering it because the Panthers were just rolling going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I really thought that might have an effect, and it ended up very much
Did
having an effect.
Did you see the comparative numbers between Boston and Florida for the last, I think it was month or maybe like since the All-Star or not All-Star break, trade deadline? Like
Hmm.
Florida had been outplaying Boston. It's just because like Boston was a steam wagon for the first 60 games of the year, and then the last 20 or so, the momentum carried over, but they weren't actually playing up to the standard that they had set. And the
Hmm.
record didn't really reflect that. They were still getting a ton of putt luck, but I think their expected goals percentage was only around 51, where it had been around like I think 55, 56 for most of the year, which is unheard of. And Florida's had actually been closer to 54 or 54 and a half, if I'm remembering the numbers right. So, like, if you look at if you deep dive into the numbers, this result isn't really all that surprising if you ignore the first 60 games of the regular season.
Yeah, so you were very much remembering that right. And it wasn't even just like, well, part of it isn't even like just the last couple months, it's the whole season.
Right.
The Panthers had the higher 5v5 expected goals percentage throughout the whole season. Like
Mm-hmm.
even strength, they were better at that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's not as crazy of an upset as we think it is, just because of um, obviously the point differential. But
Yeah.
um, I don't know. It's yeah, I personally love to see the big upsets. It's pretty fun. But how do you feel about it? Because I think we wrapped up last pod talking about this a little bit,
It
and you
wasn't last
thinking
pod. I
that
think it was a little further back, but
okay,
I remember being worried that if
yeah,
Florida wins this game, it would render the regular season even more irrelevant than it already was.
mm,
Because, like, 10 years ago, the Los Angeles Kings won the Stanley Cup as the last team in the playoffs. Um, and then I want to say they faced, in 2012, they faced the Devils, who I think were the 6th seed. This is like the last year of the 1v8, 2v7 thing. So and even then, like even still, like throughout the past 10 or so years, like the Leafs, again, they would always lose in the first round after being the higher seed, and like Tampa would just want to get into the playoffs, and then once they get in, they can go on a roll. And then I think Dallas was a more or less an underdog when they went to the Stanley Cup final in the bubble, and just
Right.
a whole bunch of different examples of teams just like going on a run because hockey is the most random and like the highest variance sport out of any of them. And I just I get the big upset is fun, the juggernaut getting knocked off is fun, but like officially I don't give a shit about 82 games of the NHL schedule, and that's like really shitty.
I guess that's fair.
Like
It's just
it
it's
makes
part of
it not matter when teams perform well. Just get in, be one of the 16, and who cares? Like all of a sudden, everything Boston did this year, everything Tampa did 4 years ago in 2019, anything the President's Trophy team, like winning team, does next year, it just like who cares? And I don't love that. I don't love that you're saying 80% of the NHL schedule doesn't matter.
I think it's fun because when you get to the playoffs, anybody can win, and you cannot say that for other sports. Well, this year in the NBA is a little bit different, but for the most part, in the NBA, your one seeds are who's gonna win, who's gonna win your championships for the most part. And in hockey, like you said, it's very or it's very easy for a 6 to 8 seed to kind of make a huge run and go on to a conference championship or a Stanley Cup final. I
Yeah.
love that. Like it does add a little bit more variance, and now we're gonna see a new Stanley Cup champion since 2006 or whatever it is, and I love
See,
that personally.
I like the upsets, but when it starts being a yearly occurrence, I find it annoying and dumb. I don't know. Like that's like a weird take. Like for example, in the NBA, one of each seed moved on to the second round. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. One of each seed moved on to the second round. First time it's ever happened. And I'm pretty sure it was that only 6, 8 seeds had ever beaten a 1 seed in the first round before. And as much as people are like, oh, I hate that, whatever, like, I don't know, the best teams should win. And in hockey, that's just like not really the case. I just don't like that there's an entire different rule set and different like roster build for success between the playoffs and the regular season. I'm always going to be of that opinion. I don't like how different it is. I'm not a fan of how a 140 or no, not 140, 130 whatever point 65 win Bruins team can like be what they were for 82 games, and then this like pricky little Florida team that squeaks in on the second last day of the season comes in and beats them in a 7-game series. Like I something about it bothers me.
Yeah.
It ruins the, I don't want to say the integrity of the regular season, but like the integrity of the regular season. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I know you like it, so I'm not gonna like throw it back to you here, but that's just my thoughts. I don't
Fair enough.
think I'm the only one that thinks that way, but I also think that you're in the majority in terms of how people feel about the big upsets and the anyone can win in the playoffs type stuff. I want the favorites to be the favorites, and it just seems like in hockey every series is a coin flip. And
That's
this
fair.
year is the epitome
Yeah.
of that because
That's
Colorado
fair.
lost. And now we can talk about how Seattle just beat Colorado, and I am
Is it
pissed about that outcome.
is it that crazy though?
Seattle beating Colorado?
Yeah, is that crazy?
No, it's not crazy, but it's annoying because like Seattle's annoying and they don't have any superstars, and now
Yeah,
McKinnon's out and McCarr's out and Rantanen's out, and that one's just like a personal, like I'm pissed off
fair.
with the result because I wanted Colorado. Like I like watching Colorado more than Seattle.
Yeah, no, that's true. I
Like
would
that's
completely
literally it.
agree with that. Yeah,
That's
no,
literally
I,
it.
I agree with that. Yeah.
That one's less surprising, but it's another sort of like feather in the cap towards the every series is literally a coin flip. Like if you
Right.
say one team has a, I don't know, 70% chance of winning a series, I say you are wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
Yeah,
straight up.
100%.
I don't know. It bothers me and I don't like that. I don't know why. I like when the favorites win. I like the odd time if the underdog comes along, but every year it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fair.
I want to see the best players and the best teams on the biggest stages, and it just seems like that doesn't happen as often as it should in the NHL. But I don't know. Whatever.
It is what it is.
Where are you at on Seattle? Because they just beat Dallas last night, and I was annoyed at that too, because now I want Dallas to crush Seattle, because I don't want Seattle to go on a run.
Yeah, I don't particularly care for Seattle at all. So I wasn't really defending them. I was just more so saying to the fact that Colorado is so depleted from where they were last year.
No, I know, but I'm completely flipping the script here over
Yeah.
to like, what are your
No,
thoughts on Seattle? Because I personally
I
don't
know.
want to see a team led by Jared McCann go to the Stanley Cup final.
Oh, I know, and I was just kind of giving a little bit of context there, saying I was not defending them because I'm completely of the same mind. They are just not a fun. Like, I don't want to watch Jordan Eberle be the star of a like Western Conference finalist team. I just don't. I don't want to watch Grubauer goalie teams. I don't.
Yeah.
Like what?
I don't. I just find it annoying, and I just like watching superstars play. I like it when big markets win. Not that Seattle's not a big market. Like, that's a huge play for the NHL because they're an absolute money-making machine so far in their existence. But as fun it is to see Florida in the second round, and as fun as it is to watch Matthew Tkachuk, like, I wanted Toronto, Boston, I wanted Colorado, Dallas, I wanted those big, like, superstar riddled teams moving on, because that's what entertains me. And so, I don't know. Usually it ends up working itself out. Like, the cream of the crop usually rises towards the end. Like, if I don't know. The East is kind of a shit show right now, though, because like, you've got a Carolina team that's missing their two best wingers. You've got this New Jersey team that had 60 points last year, although they're like such a sick young team, just nobody expected them to do it. You got Toronto, who's Toronto, and then you've got this Florida team who's like Matthew Tkachuk and friends. And then in the East, you've got I guess Vegas and Edmonton are legit, but then you've got and then Dallas as well. But Seattle, like, just go away, man. Like, there's like 4 or 5 teams left that I'm just like, if you're in the Stanley Cup final, it'll be weird, and usually that's not the case in the second round.
Yeah, that's true. I would completely agree. Like, looking at the field right now, can you imagine like a Seattle Toronto final?
It'd be
like,
absurd.
That's just so weird to think about.
Right now,
possible.
Right now, the 2 finals that I want the most are Toronto Edmonton or New Jersey Dallas. New Jersey Dallas would be so sick.
That would be so much fun. That would almost force the NHL to market the 2 players they should be marketing the most.
Who would you say are those 2 players?
Jack Hughes and Jason Robertson.
Jack Hughes gets marketed fairly well, I would say.
Probably still not enough.
Maybe not enough, but he's gotten his flowers, especially since Luke has gone up. Like,
Robertson should be up there with the top of anybody, but
like, have you heard Robertson do an interview or anything? Like, he doesn't really have much of a personality. He's not very outgoing.
I know, but he's such a.
It's hard to market that. As much as the NHL catches slack for not marketing their players don't give them much to work with.
Maybe I'm off on this one. I have not really heard him speak much.
Okay, I just remember first time I heard him talk was at the All-Star game, and so hearing him, he was doing like that golf thing in Florida, like that, and it was very awkward.
Yeah, but Suzuki was kind of awkward in that too, but he's good.
No, I know every player is gonna be awkward in that situation.
One, yeah.
It was like a bad event, but like,
yeah,
Robertson stuck out as like the most awkward. I don't know. And he was like,
this is completely out of left field, but have you seen the stupid little Suzuki and Caulfield TikTok videos that are all over? Like, I see them on TikTok all the time. They're so dumb, but they make me crack up all the time.
That's such a fun little duo. I'm so excited. This is also like out of left field. I'm so excited to see what some of the RFAs get this offseason. We need to get back into talking about the games, but like Zegras, Caulfield, there's some big names up for extensions and restricted free agency this summer that I'm excited for. And then the freaking draft lotteries next week. There's so much happening in this league right now.
Yeah, there's a lot going
on. Okay, back to the game 7s. So neither of us are particularly fans of Seattle beating Colorado. But
Mhm.
Cale
Yeah, we
McCarr
were.
looked like. Did you watch that game?
I did not.
Cale
But
McCarr
like
looked
we
like shit.
did he? That's tough.
Yeah, he was turning the puck over nonstop. None of his passes were good. Um, and even like after the game, he was dejected. Didn't do his media
Mm,
availability, or at least he was like in his equipment for at least like 15 minutes after the game, and the reporters were just waiting to talk to him. Like he played really poorly, and that's coming off of the suspension for a game. Not a
yeah.
good series for Cale McCarr, to be honest. And it's like
Right.
it's kind of shitty for Colorado because it's the last year that McKinnon's on his sweetheart deal. So
Mm,
they might lose even more depth because that was their big issue this year is just not having anyone to cover for Landeskog and Nichushkin and whoever else. Byram, I think, was out for an extended period of time. Gerard. So
mhm.
I don't know.
I
Interesting
remember.
stuff coming up for.
I remember saying last pod that my bracket was looking pretty good, and then both of Boston and Colorado are just gone.
I went 6 for 8, so those are the only two I got wrong. Wait,
I would have been five
no, I
for
got
eight
LA
then.
wrong, so I went 5 for 8. Oops.
Yeah. Who was the other one you
Okay.
got wrong then?
I got Colorado, Seattle wrong. I got Edmonton, LA wrong, and I got
Oh, Edmonton. Right.
Boston, Florida wrong. So I went
Yeah,
5 for 8.
and I got Winnipeg wrong. So.
Okay, let's talk about Rangers Devils. Did you watch this game?
Mm-hmm.
Did you
I
see Artemi Panarin not play hockey?
I watched I think like the first half of this game, and then I watched the rest of the highlights afterwards. But yeah, I saw a Devils team just take over.
But like specifically Artemi Panarin, that
Oh
guy
yeah,
like
yeah,
literally did not try, and he got
invisible.
crushed. Like people noticed.
Hmm.
It was bad. It was really bad, and it's gonna be an interesting season in New York too. You've got Lafreniere as an RFA, but he put up 0 points in 7 games. He needs a change of scenery. I don't care what anyone
Wow.
says.
Yeah,
Um,
that like 0 points in 7 games. Like, who is he playing with? Is he still on that
Kako and
kid line?
Heedle, yeah,
Yeah,
the kid
yeah.
line. That's supposed to be a good third line,
How
which
do you
is a
not put up a
joke
single
considering you've got a
point?
first and a second overall pick on that line. But like, it's crazy.
That's
It's
horrendous.
crazy, man. Like, I kind of think that I keep on like saying mentioning offseason stuff, but I feel like it's fitting because teams are getting eliminated. We should almost come up with some mock trades this offseason. I had a
Yeah.
few ideas for some the other day just to like just as a fun episode in the summer.
Hmm.
Because I think there's a few teams that would definitely be interested in Alexei Lafreniere's services, of course, obviously. But that'd be such a mess for the Rangers to have to eat that, like
Oh
trading away a
yeah.
first overall pick 3 years later because you just completely manhand like not even manhandle. That's the complete wrong word. Just dropped the ball with his development.
Yeah, especially when it looks like Stützle's going to be a
Uh,
perennial 90 plus point guy.
and even Byfield like looked solid in the LA
Yeah,
and Edmonton series in that
right.
third line center role. Hopefully he can like sort of move up those charts a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so New Jersey moves on. Thank God. Like
Yeah.
I love watching this team. They're so fun. Freaking Akira Schmid comes in and like wins however like. So
He won.
did Vanacek play the first two and then it was Schmid the rest of the way? Do you know?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he won all 4 games for them. I think he was
Yeah, definitely won all
4
four.
0 and 1. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Um, this
His
Devils team.
numbers
Did
were
you?
like
Oh,
legendary too.
yeah. This Devils team is super fun. I really hope they get past Carolina. Um, a Toronto, New Jersey Eastern Conference Final would be like hockey porn.
I think that's what I picked.
Yeah, it is what you picked. And I think
Yeah.
you had
I
Edmonton, Dallas on the other side.
That would be so much fun. Like
That
even
would be
last
such a
and
good Eastern and Western
I'm
Conference Final.
I'm sure we'll get to last night here shortly, but like even watching Toronto, Florida was really fun. I can't even I can't even imagine what Toronto, New Jersey would be because that feels like it's just the ultimate fun series matchup that
It'd
you
be
could make.
so fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Like for every player there's a like an
Like
equal and equally skilled player. Like you've got
I
Matthews,
just yeah.
Hughes. Those are the two headliners. You've got Marner and Meyer. You've got Heishier and Tavares. You've got Bratt and like Nylander. It's just like the offensive firepower in that series would be in freaking insane.
Yeah, and like even on defense too.
Yeah,
The Devils are kind of stacked, and
both
they
teams go like 8 deep.
yeah, and obviously Toronto, yeah, is stacked or not stacked, but like they have 8 players that
Go
you can
deep.
easily put in, and Riley looks like he's bounced back now too,
Yeah.
and having an amazing playoff. So
Did you see
that
some of the
that would be epic.
numbers? Did you see some of the numbers suggesting that like playoff Riley is a thing?
No, I didn't.
Oh, really? So I forget.
No.
I forget if it was Evolving Hockey. I think it was Evolving Hockey. Um, they were just showing the contrast between his last few regular seasons and his small sample in the playoffs. Should give that little disclaimer: small sample, obviously.
Yeah,
But his playoff numbers in or his numbers in the playoffs just skyrocket. It's kind of awesome. He goes from like I don't know, $6 or $7 million guy in terms of value. He makes 7.5 to like nine plus. He really steps it up in the playoffs, which is really cool to see. Especially because like the entire Leafs core has really stepped it up in that first round. Like I think
yeah.
their top like 6 point producers had like 8 or 9 plus points, and it was all of their 6 highest paid guys. So pretty cool to see there.
Speaking of
Although, sorry,
sorry, just speaking of playoff performers, going back to the Boston series for a sec, is
sure.
uh is playoff Bob a thing?
Yeah, I think it is because he was so good in game 1 against Toronto too.
Yeah. And now he's done that to 2 record-setting regular season teams.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he was the goalie for Columbus too.
yeah.
That's crazy. Dude, imagine like that's so wild though. Like Florida's been trying to run him out of town for the better part of his entire contract. And he like has
Just straight up
single-handedly
one. Yeah.
straight up like won the first round. Like Florida's
Yeah.
defining playoff moment in their history, literally. Although I think they've been to a cup final, if I'm not mistaken. But
I have no clue.
yeah, I don't know either. But like I don't know. He's making his $10 million worth this season anyway. But also playoff performers Brandon Montour and Matthew Kachuk
Yeah. Holy
single-handedly
shit.
carrying the Panthers right now.
Yeah.
Kachuk has 14 points in 8 games. Kid is absolutely freaking everywhere. And Brandon Montour has 6 goals, making everyone forget who Mackenzie Weegar even is. This
Yeah.
season, even, like, I think he had like 70 points this year, too.
He was incredible. I picked him up
Yeah.
off waivers like the second week of fantasy hockey, and he was like borderline my best defenseman.
That's sick.
Yeah. No, he had a great season.
Um, okay, so we covered the game sevens. Let's get over to game ones. Did you watch either of the games last night?
I watched all of Toronto, yeah. Toronto, Florida.
What were your thoughts? It was a weird one.
I thought it
Toronto
was
should have won. Toronto played
yeah.
really well.
I thought it was extremely entertaining. I don't know if I agree with Toronto should have won.
They played better. They got Bobrovski'd.
Yeah, they did, but I don't know. There's just something about Florida. It just never really felt like they lost a handle of it. Even when they lost the lead, it I don't know. I didn't feel like they were in a super amount of trouble.
Okay.
I don't know. Did you
It's
feel?
kind of a very like even keeled vibe to this series. Like it's only been one game, but even in the build up to the series, like Leafs fans don't seem nervous. And then even
Hmm.
though they dominated or like played really well in game 1 and lost, like it doesn't seem like any buildings are burning down in Toronto yet.
Right.
And Florida like got outplayed. I think we can both agree. But like still felt like they never lost their place in the game. It's like kind of what you're trying to say, and I
Hmm.
would tend to agree with that.
Yeah, well, I think they very much won the first period. Matthew Kachuk came
Yeah, for
shot
sure.
out of a cannon,
Yeah.
and pretty much kept that energy going the whole time. And I don't know. I think that energy is just absolutely carrying Florida right now. And as long as they have this like never say die following our Rat King leader,
Yep.
I just there's a special little feel around them right now. I don't know.
Imagine if Barkov starts performing like a top 10 center
Yeah.
like he's supposed to be because he's been a
Right.
ghost throughout the playoffs thus far. He hasn't really done anything.
Hmm. Also,
Um,
did you see that? Obviously, he missed the last game there, but I think Meyer had 0 points in the first round.
I don't know if he got one. I know that was the storyline going into Game 7. I
Right.
don't know if he got a point. I don't think he did. Um, but I mean, hey, if New Jersey can go beat the Rangers and him put up 0 points, because I remember listening to 32 Thoughts and they were talking about how he had no points, but it's not like he
Mhm.
was playing poorly. He was all around it, just wasn't putting up points, and they managed to get through the series anyway. And he's easily maybe he's here, but like Myers their second best player, second best
Mhm.
forward anyway. And if he gets going, like New Jersey might like roll to an Eastern Conference Final, Stanley Cup Final,
Yeah,
because
it was just curious that they got it done without him really contributing. Like
that's what I'm saying. That's why it's like even scarier.
the major deadline acquisition. Yeah.
It's even scarier because he's such a monster, and like if he gets going, he's such a big body, hits hard, scores goals.
Right.
Like watch out. If he gets
Hmm.
going, New Jersey can't. Well, probably won't even be able to be stopped. Can you imagine if they win a cup this year? Like
They're my
after,
cup finalist. I
yeah,
feel it can be done.
that'd be nuts. That'd be
That
really
would be
nuts.
so much fun.
What were your thoughts on the Truba hit on Meyer?
I thought it was clean. That doesn't mean I love it though.
I didn't like it at all. Um, I don't
Yeah.
care if it was clean. I don't like hits like that ever. Um, because that's not a guy making a play to like remove a guy from the puck or separate a guy from the puck. That's a guy trying to hurt someone. I don't
Hmm.
care how he went about it. If you watch Truba on that, he jumps off the bench and like he borderline like beelines it for Meyer. Um and it was high. Like I thought it was a high hit. Meyer's head was down, which doesn't help the situation.
Yeah.
But I
Head
just
bent over.
yeah. I didn't like the hit at all. And everyone clamoring that it was clean. Maybe I have to take a second look at it. I didn't think it was clean in the moment. I know after looking at it in slow motion, it was like okay, but still, like I don't like hits like that happening.
Sure, it maybe felt like unnecessary force, but I think I don't know, the head contact is caused by him like hunched over, head down a little bit. I don't I'm You're right, I have to watch it again. I haven't analyzed it like crazy, but after watching it a few times w- after it happened, I don't know, I don't see like a super penalized play. ha- I I don't know.
So here's my thing though: is like, at what point are hockey players like not hunched over? That's why I don't like the argument that if a guy has his head like down like this and head contact is initiated, like it's not the hitter's fault because
Hmm.
Truba can see that Meyer is in that position and he still took it among himself to freaking
Right.
light
And
him up.
I don't really like when Truba does that. I hate it, to be honest. Like
No,
it
I
is
don't like it at
dangerous,
all.
but I don't know, in the context of the playoffs, that's never going to be called, I don't think.
No, it won't. But I don't like the argument that his head was down. It's like the only time I'm willing to hear out that argument, actually not even, is when a guy hits someone from behind and the player put themselves into a position where they go into the boards like kind of head first or shoulder first or whatever.
Hmm.
And I still don't like that. I think the player hitting the other player, like the hitter, the one initiating the contact, can be less of an idiot and not try to hurt a guy. I think Truba didn't need to like he was trying to hurt Timo Meyer there. And that's like again, I get that his head's down, but that's not an excuse to just I don't know. Maybe I'm being soft. Maybe I am really leaning into the direction that hockey is going in terms of all skill, no like fighting, no massive hits. I don't know. But
Hmm.
I didn't like that hit and I don't like hits like that.
That's fair, I guess. Like I'm not
It's
going
just
to argue. I'm not going to argue with you that I like the outcome of that hit, or I like seeing those hits, cuz I don't. I just I'm not sure he did anything wrong.
no, I know. And that's kind of the issue, right? Is that there's
Yeah.
such a massive amount of room for error with interpreting hits.
Right.
Because you can straight up knock a guy right in the face with an elbow or something, and there's no result, but it's like a 5-minute major or whatever it would be. Or you can do that and it's clean, and it's like, what are we doing? I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if there's a solution. I don't know if there's anything to be fixed. But it seems like it's only one guy in the league doing it, so I don't know how you.
Well,
that's the
until
thing,
you just
right?
ban head contact, like there's certain, like this situation in particular, like the rule that saved him, it basically is that head contact is allowed if dot 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 whatever the wording is.
Yeah,
that should just not be in the rule book. Head
yeah,
contact should not be allowed.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree. I don't like the idea. Again, going off of what you said, like I'm probably about to say literally what you just said. I don't like the idea that there's an interpretation of head contact that's allowed. If your head's down, you're allowed to smoke a guy in the head. I don't agree with
so
it.
much of what the hockey rule book is just nothing is black and white. It sucks.
I know. Okay. Where do we want to go here? Did you see? Oh, freaking Pavelski scored 4 goals last night. Seattle wins 5-4 in overtime. I was pissed. I wasn't watching the game. I apologize. I was watching basketball, but I saw that the game went to overtime and flipped it over to the overtime. And Dallas scored. Not Dallas. Seattle scored about 12 minutes in, and it just it was kind of an exhale for me because I mentioned it already. I'm very much against Seattle winning. Plus, I really wanted Dallas to win because Pavelski scored 4 goals and it was sick.
Yeah, like he just comes back from injury and he's just an ageless wonder. How do you come back from injury at what? How old is he now?
He's 38 years old.
38? Yeah, that's absurd. And put up 4
and
goals. Oldest player to ever put up 4 goals in a game in playoffs.
And he's signed for next season, I think. He's coming back. Like, he already signed an extension.
Yeah.
Really sneaky. Like, remember when he signed that contract with Dallas leaving San Jose, and it was 3 times 7?
Brutal.
And it was really weird, right? Like, it was a weird contract.
It felt brutal, yeah.
And now, all of a sudden, he's now, like, what is this? Like, his 5th season in Dallas? No, next year will be his 5th season in Dallas. So this is his 4th year in Dallas. And, like, he's completely been there. He's bridged the gap. Like, he's been there for the bridge between the Seguin and Ben days to now being a mainstay in the Robertson, Ottinger, and Heiskanen days. And it's, like, insanely cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hasn't slowed down one bit, and I don't know how he's doing it because it's very few players that are able to maintain that level of consistency going into their like mid to late 30s. We're seeing a bit with Claude Giroux now, but you almost never see it maintaining these like point per game paces.
And he might be a guy who's able to play for as long as he wants too, right? Because like he's so good in front of the net, he doesn't rely on agility and speed and all that. Mm-hmm. Like he's a grinded out kind of guy in front of the net, tips, deflections, everything.
Yeah, one of the best like tip men of all time.
He's literally like one of the best players of this generation.
Yeah, very underrated.
Like so underrated. Like you could probably make an argument that he's top 20 player that's joined the league since 2000.
I don't have the stats in my head.
That's like way too big of a scope to say. Like I completely just threw that out of my brain.
Wait, but since 2000?
Since 2000. So like no Lidstroms, no Charas, no Prongers, none of that. Just guys who have joined the league since 2000. No Zetterbergs, I want to say. No Datsuk. Like none of like no Sakic. Like it's a lot less time than you think. Because I think Pavelski was drafted in 03. As well as like Bergeron, and then Crosby was a couple years later. So think about like recent retirements. Like you've got Joe Thornton in there. Like I forget when he was drafted. I want to say he was drafted in 2000, maybe even before 2000, which would remove him from consideration.
Yeah, this is not coming up as I hoped it would. But anyways, Pavelski, very underrated.
Very underrated player, Hall of Famer. Hopefully he gets a cup. Oh, Joe Thornton drafted in 1997, so he's eliminated from the best players of the 2000s.
See ya.
See ya, Joe.
Yeah, pal.
Okay. Where do we go now? Are we about to talk about
quickly talk awards?
Some boring awards finalists?
Yeah.
Interesting finalists, boring awards. So we've got the Selke Trophy, Patrice Bergeron, Nico Hischier, and Mitch Marner. Really happy to see those latter two names, despite the fact that Bergeron's going to win this award. And then you've got the Lady Byng. I believe it was Jack Hughes, and I forget the other two.
Jack Hughes, Anze Kopitar, and Braden Point.
Braden Point got it, eh? He's such a dirty little player in the playoffs. That's impressive. Do you have how many?
This is the boring award I always forget about.
It's basically best player with a little bit of penalty minutes.
Yeah.
How many
probably go to Kopitar because why?
Braden Point only had 7 penalty minutes this season.
Interesting.
Damn. That's cool. I do not care about the Lady Byng. I think it's a dumb award.
Oh yeah,
it's like
I
most
didn't even know its
sportsmanlike
name
player
when we hopped on the call to get in here.
It's like it's the most sportsmanlike good player. It's like fuck off. Who cares?
Selke, is that Hischier's first, or was
that would be his first nomination?
Right. Yeah. No, that's gonna be the first of like many.
Oh yeah, he's gonna win a bunch.
He's gonna be
cool seeing
next Bergeron for like the next 15 years, just constantly in the finalists.
It's really cool seeing Marner on that though.
Yeah,
you never see wingers.
No, but he's like their top PK guy.
Oh, he's so good.
He's so
good. No, I was very happy. I was very happy to see the 3 finalists for the Selke. Just because there's some new names then there. Like for the last 10 years, it's been Bergeron. You throw Anze Kopitar in there. I don't know. It hasn't really mattered because I think Bergeron's won 6 of them. So, so I don't know. Where do you want to go from here? I mean, we've kind of talked about all the games. We've got Edmonton, Vegas. No one has talked about the fact that this is McDavid versus Eichel in the playoffs. It's kind of wild how much that false rivalry has just not really consummated at all since they've joined the same division, because that was I don't know, first 3 or 4 years of their career. And even the build up to their draft, it was always Mac or Jack. And then it was McDavid versus Eichel. And now that they're in the same division, facing each other in the playoffs, what have you, just no one cares. And I think it's mainly because Jack Eichel isn't really who he was supposed to be. Great player, but he's not that franchise defining guy that he was expected to be in the NHL. Obviously, I believe he's probably still, even though it's been a year since he returned from his big injury, I imagine he's still not fully back to where he wants to be. He's just around a point a game guy, and I hope one day he becomes a 40 goal, 90, 100 point guy. And he's just not that yet. So maybe that's why so there's sort of a lack of luster with regards to McDavid versus Eichel. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is something I would have really hoped would be a super big deal, major story when they were both drafted, thinking ahead to when they would meet each other in the playoffs. This first time, right? Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah. Well, this is for Eichel's first playoff run.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. Just in general, that's crazy.
Yeah. No, we had that realization before the playoffs started. It was holy shit, this is Eichel's first playoff game.
Yeah. So just the fact that it isn't is a little underwhelming, but I think it is just the fact that he's not nearly on McDavid's level and never.
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing. It's going into the draft. It was
the Crosby Ovechkin rivalry works so well because they're at the same points 15 years later.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen here at all.
And because one guy was scoring 60 goals a year and one guy was putting up 100 points a year. Now it's one guy's putting up 120, 140, 150 freaking 3 points a year, and Eichel's in and around 80, half. I don't know. So I was gonna actually mention that. I was like, I wonder why there's a lackluster. It's because it's really no contest between the two in terms of their career trajectories, because that was the big thing leading up to the 2015 draft, is like this generational Canadian American player who then both got drafted into Canadian and American markets, and it just hasn't really gone that way. If anything, Matthews has kind of stolen that mantle of like America versus Canada.
Did you see the players out for Vegas though?
Like, no, who's out?
Stone, Theodore, and McNabb are all out.
Why?
I did not read much into it, but I saw.
I'm gonna go check the injury report.
I think Stone left practice or something happened, or he aggravated something. But
okay, well the injuries on the score sucks. But like the injuries on there don't have any of those three players as out. I wonder, is that like just like a couple minutes ago, or?
It was 3 hours ago from Elliot Friedman. Bruce Cassidy says Mark Stone, Braden McNabb, and Shea Theodore. Oh, will play. I'm so sorry. Wow, what a fumble.
You loser. You're such a loser. Oh my god.
Why would he tweet out they will play? That is horrible.
Maybe they were questionable. I don't know. That's a bad. Yeah, that's a dumb tweet though. That's so funny, dude.
Wow. My bad.
All right. Hit the outro. That's it.
Oh,
that's all.
14 minutes ago. No Timo Meyer.
Yeah, I just saw that too. Good job, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks.
You want me to go double check that tweet?
It. No, it's fine. I have it pulled up. We can show it right here.
All right.
Yeah.
Huge news. Okay, hit the outro. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go get something to eat. Get myself ready for this Vegas and Oilers game. I like the two games tonight. I'm excited for the two games tonight.
Go Devils.
Go Devils.
Baby.
Go Oilers. Episode 25.
Wow.
Draft lottery next week, eh? Holy moly.
Things are happening.
On a Monday.
Classic image.
Ben Tilly to the Sens!